Hello again. Chris Lee, Graham Doty, Jay Greason set to preview and predict outcomes on the Baton Rouge Regional. That'll have, of course, host LSU. Dallas Baptist, a strong 2 seed. And then LSU got probably some of the weaker 3 and 4 seeds in the tournament in Rhode Island and Little Rock. But we'll unpack everything for every team in a moment. But guys, I think LSU is a team that I've got on my radar as a potential national title contender. And other than Dallas Baptist, don't see much maybe standing between the way of LSU and getting out of this regional, guys.
Yeah, I definitely don't, and I'm with you, Chris. They are definitely on a very short list for me of teams that I think can win this whole thing. It starts with pitching. LSU has it in spades. I think they will be able to handle this regional relatively easy.
I'm curious. Yeah. We've talked a bunch in these previews about whether the 1 seeds should hold their ace. Is Dallas Baptist having that conversation as a 2 seed?
Good question. That's a really good question. And DBU doesn't really have on paper.
They've got 2 pretty good starting pitchers.
Yeah, they got 2 good ones. I would say good, maybe not great, in Borberg right. and Buckram. Buckram actually was at LSU, so there's a storyline for you. Yeah, and it gets a little dicier in the bullpen. Dallas Baptist, a team that can really hit, though. 97 home runs, 103 stolen bases, so very versatile. DSR, which I really like, that's D1's computer rankings, I think had Dallas Baptist number 22 overall with the number 34 strength of schedule. So if you're thinking, this is a 2 seed that had numbers because it played in a, not the SEC or ACC or one of those leagues, but Conference USA, which is a pretty good baseball league, not on that level. A lot of metrics think Dallas Baptist is a team that could challenge a lot of 1 seeds. I'm just not sure in this spot, though. LSU's pitching, those top 4 or 5 guys just line up so well. I think they're going to be a tough out for anybody in any format. Now, LSU's got to start hitting a little bit more. That's been much discussed among LSU fans. But I still wonder. Now, you could catch Dallas Baptist on the wrong day. And, again, those guys can really hit. They slug it. They get on base. They run. They hit for power. They do a lot of things that can give teams trouble. But then I'm guessing they haven't seen a whole lot like Kade Anderson, Anthony Eyanson, and company either. And frankly, outside of the SEC, not a lot of teams have.
Right. I think the offensive questions about LSU are fair. I mean, I really do. But I just think the pitching is so good that it kind of makes up for it. Now, LSU, again, we all kind of feel that this is one of the easiest regionals of any team in the country. Texas is certainly up there. But I just think LSU is going to be too good for all these other teams to overcome. What makes it interesting, Dallas Baptist, they got the best defense in the Conference USA, least amount of errors, best fielding percentage, and they can really swing it. They are 1 or 2 in Conference USA in essentially almost every offensive categories. They played each other way early in the season. It was LSU's first game outside of the state of Louisiana, and LSU was able to handle Dallas Baptist. The other, Rhode Island, I hope they enjoy their trip, to Baton Rouge in the tournament. Just take it all in, enjoy it, because you're going to play in one of the best environments in the country. And I just had Little Rock this past week in Marion for the OVC tournament. Great story. They were picked second preseason in the OVC. They won the whole thing last year, regular season wise. This year, different story. They lost 6 position players throughout the course of the year due to injuries, and they're just now are finally starting to get everybody back. Hence why they won the conference tournament. They don't really have any position players that are first team OVC like Little Rock. They don't have the OVC player of the year, anything like that. Now they do have a guy that will get drafted, and that's Jackson Wells. He's probably going to pitch the first game against LSU. 2 years ago, he was the OVC Pitcher of the Year. He had the lowest ERA in the country. That he had a better ERA than Paul Skeens. Skeens was number 2. Jackson Wells was number 1. Obviously, totally different league, but Jackson Wells is going to start. He leads the OVC in strikeouts. He's a solid arm on the mound, and he's going to get drafted. I think LSU will handle him. And then whoever LSU faces, probably Dallas Baptist the rest of the way. I just think LSU is going to be able to take care of business.
A lot of people don't know that Jackson Wells is his grandfather, H.G. Wells, and his great aunt, Dawn Wells, who was Mary Ann. They ended up having a big family rift. Some call it the War of the Worlds.
Yeah, well, he may need to get in his time machine and grab some help to beat LSU. Yeah, I think Little Rock, barring some kind of
it's a great
weirdness.
Story.
Yeah, it is, and barring something really weird with somebody throwing the game. I know LSU's lineup has struggled, but Dickinson, Jones, Curiel, all those guys, I just think too much talent there. Rhode Island is kind of interesting on paper, scored a lot of runs. Batting line is a team of 309, 431, 514. Not sure what kind of ballpark and competition that came against. Hit 85 home runs, stole 125 bases, and only struck out 16% of the time and walked 14%. So it does look like an offense that could push you if you're not on your game. And in reserve on the pitching side, they got Joe Sabbath, which Jay Greason, cue your Sunday jokes here, sir.
No, it's a day of rest for me.
All right. Well, with that settled, I think, the pitching for Rhode Island gave up a ton of base runners, walked a ton of guys. That's kind of a bad combo to get to a regional. So I think we can probably eliminate those teams and make it a Dallas Baptist LSU conversation. What do we think about how these guys match up, Graham?
I like LSU just because they've been through the battles. I know Dallas Baptist, they try to piece together like as hard of a non-con schedule as they can. It's a really good program. Their head coach has been there forever. Great guy, won a whole bunch of games. But I just think the environment, Alex Box, Baton Rouge, everything favors LSU to me. Pitching wise, their lineup. I just think this will be something that LSU will be able to handle without much problems at all.
I could not agree anymore, Graham. And not only is it statistically great, the river of future big leaguers that JJ can trot out in Red Stick is just relentless. And I mean, whether it's to start a game, whether it's with a tying run on second base and 2 out, and here comes Cowan or Evans, and truly, there are a lot of guys in this team picture, but if I had to pick a 1-2 to feel best about, I don't know if I'm not picking Anderson and Eyanson.
Yeah, I think right now that might be the top starting pitching duo in the country if you just limit it to 2 guys. Yeah. Anderson is going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. I think Eyanson has probably been moving his way up. And speaking of pro talent, I mean, LSU just dominating the roster here. Daniel Dickinson, going to be a second-roundish pick. Chase Shores just on upside. He hit 102 with several pitches in the SEC tournament. Now, the control's not there, but he's a guy who can give you some innings and just – there might be some walks, but you might not be able to touch him either. Baseball America actually had him as a higher-regarded pro prospect, not by much recently than Eyanson, which tells you the upside of him. And you look at it, Grant Jay, the catcher for Dallas Baptist, is probably a top 4, top 5 round prospect. He hit 19 home runs, stole 14 bases with the batting line of 322, 451, 688. They also had Clayton Krauss and Nathan Humphreys with 14 and 17 homers respectively. So that's a team that can swing it a little bit. But guys, when you look at how the pitching lines up and you look what LSU's got, I just think it's going to be tough for them to get knocked off by anybody, because we're about to be playing, for the most part, 3-game series to decide the whole thing. Now, you falter in a regional, it could go a little longer. The path could look a little different. But LSU is just going to be tough to beat in these kind of formats. And I like the Tigers. I think Dallas Baptist is good enough to push them a little bit, especially with the offense not hitting as much. But to win the whole thing feels like a stretch to me.
Yeah, for Dallas Baptist to win, I agree. But again, doesn't like everything we said is true. Great program, a lot of success. He's produced a lot of talent that got drafted, major leaguers, all that stuff. But LSU is just a different animal.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to add. Somewhere Skip Berkman is smiling.
Yeah, and I think if Little Rock could, throw a gem and push them a little bit, then I think that evens the chances, maybe a little bit for not evens, but pushes it a little bit closer to giving Dallas Baptist a chance. But that pitching staff, when you look at the numbers, part of drawing a tough four is not just, are you going to win the game? It's like, are you going to get pushed and have to use some in-game arms that are not available for game two? Just doesn't feel like that kind of scenario. That I think that to me makes it easier. That getting an easier three. I look for LSU to get through this regional, and I think that would be one of my top picks. We'll be picking all the regionals, so tune in for all those. Not all, but all 13 involving SEC teams. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. That's free. Enable your notifications, and we'll be doing live streams around NCAA tournament action. We might do a couple on Friday, maybe one for afternoon games, one for night, and certainly Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday we'll do those. And then we'll reboot and get you ready for Supers and then to Omaha, where the SEC, I would think, would have a good presence. So hope you're here for all that. For Graham Doty, for Jay Greason, God bless you. I'm Chris Lee. Wishing you a great day. We'll see you again soon with more Southeastern Conference baseball coverage here at Southeastern 16.